Coming up in this episode of In Clear Focus.
It's not just a product showcase for tile and stone, but it's really this inspirational experience for everyone who attends.
When you're coming here and you're walking through such an immersive trade show floor, you are just transported.
You need to come to this show, and you need to really take the time to kind of absorb it, because you will leave with a lot more than you came with.
You're listening to In Clear Focus, fresh perspectives on marketing and advertising, produced weekly by Bigeye, a strategy-led full-service creative agency growing brands for clients globally. Hello, I'm your host, Adrian Tennant, Chief Strategy Officer. Thank you for joining us. We're recording today's podcast at Coverings 2025, an annual international trade show and conference dedicated to the ceramic tile and natural stone industry. It's being held at the Orange County Convention Center here in Orlando, Florida. Now in its 41st year, Coverings is North America's largest and most significant gathering for the tile and stone industry, bringing together thousands of professionals from across the globe. To discuss what it's like to attend Coverings and learn about Bigeye's involvement in designing and developing marketing materials to support the event, I'm joined by three guests. Seth Segura, the Vice President and Creative Director at Bigeye, has overseen the agency's work for Coverings since 2023. Seth, welcome to In Clear Focus.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Marc V is co-founder and design principal of Marc Michaels Interior Design, ranked as one of the top residential design firms in the United States by Interior Design magazine. With a background that includes designing luxury residential projects worldwide and creating his own tile collection, Marc brings a wealth of expertise to our conversation. Marc, welcome to In Clear Focus.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
And Carmina Ozeata is the principal of Carmina Marie Interior Design and is currently working on several interior design projects here in the Central Florida area. Welcome to In Clear Focus, Carmina.
Thank you so much.
Seth, let's start with you. For our listeners who aren't familiar with Coverings, could you briefly explain what this event is and its significance in the tile and stone industry?
Definitely. Coverings is the largest international tile and stone show in North America. It's where the entire industry comes together, and we've got manufacturers, architects, interior designers, builders, distributors. They're all here under one roof. What makes it really special is that it's not just a product showcase for tile and stone, but it's really this immersive, inspirational experience for everyone who attends. It's part design expo, part cultural exchange, and part future forecast.
Well, this is now the third year that Bigeye has been involved with Coverings. How has that relationship evolved since 2023?
Yeah, in 2023, we were really going for a bolder, kind of more confident voice for the event. And that really set the tone for repositioning Coverings back 3 years ago. By 2024 in Atlanta, we layered in a lot more immersion with the brand experience, bringing storytelling elements and kind of a deeper narrative structure to the brand. And this year, 2025, we've totally evolved again. It's a brand new look and feel for the conference. We're tapping into the origins of ceramics. So earth, fire, air, and water as a way of reconnecting with the materials. But we're also amplifying the energy of the show with the sensory impact, the sense of discovery, and framing the star of the show, which is tile and stone, with our graphic identity.
We are literally surrounded by your work here, actually at the event itself. Could you walk us through the process of developing this visual identity for Coverings 2025? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, well, we actually started by going to hardware stores and tile expos and purchasing material and like getting our hands dirty. So I had a trowel in my hand and mortar and just started playing around with stuff. The rest of our creative team, we all just experienced the tactile nature of the industry. And that was pretty much where we started. And from there, we built the visual identity using color, form, texture, graphic design systems. So you'll notice green. It's a very dynamic and dominant tone of this year's show, which is opposite of what it was previously. And that's a nod to sustainability, but also a nod to renewal and sophistication. So we were really going for like this calm, authoritative vibe that balances beautifully with the vibrancy of the show. And also warmer, natural palettes. We wanted to embrace that idea of calmness and soothing materials and bringing that into the branding of the show.
Got it. Marc, your firm is internationally renowned and has worked on prestigious projects for brands like the Ritz-Carlton and St. Regis. How do you approach selecting materials for these luxury branded residences?
Well, I'd say we first with wanting to understand our market. Who is the buyer? What do they do? What are they looking for? What is their age range? What are their interests? I'm so lucky because I have a team of individuals that are just full of ideas. We sit down at a table, we brainstorm, we bring some of our favorite new things to the table, which are found at places like Coverings, and we just share ideas. One overriding thematic in everything we do right now is simplicity. People don't want things to be complicated. People want things to be easy to take care of. People want things that are seamless and effortless and aren't going to complicate getting from A to Z at all. So I feel like that's the whole market is heading there. We look for hooks, and by hooks, I mean that one thing that pops in an environment, like each space. So what's the hook? What's the hook? What's going to make it interesting, and what are people going to take away from this? And it might be the way something's used, or just one element that's a little unexpected or new. Maybe technology brings something into the system. But that's kind of how we start. We just surround ourselves with a conversation and go from there.
How do you see tile and stone being used differently in today's luxury residential projects compared to 5 or 10 years ago?
I'd say the biggest change is orchestration. 5 or 10 years ago, we were having inlays and borders and unique shifts of color block in our finishes in a production home, even in a luxury home. Now we are like so clean. You know, what's interesting is we have a little bit of a litmus test, and we want things to be beautiful before they're furnished, because so much product is judged before it's furnished. You know, we don't rely on plants to create balance anymore or anything. We just try to find real firm things within our reach that create proportion and comfort and security. You have to have a sense of realizing that you're in a safe place and a comfortable place. So even our tile selections, they don't box you in. There's a unified feeling of where you start and stop finishes. The first thing we do is we eliminate clutter. And architecture can be bouncy, and it can move from light to dark to light to dark to open to close to light to dark. One of the things we look at first of all is how to unify all those things. And so a large format tile today, 24 by 24, 10 years ago, these large sweeping finishes that are so beautifully simple. I'm going to say that's the biggest change from now till then.
Well, of course, you developed a collection of tile patterns with Audrey Lane. Could you tell us about that collaboration and what inspired your designs?
When I realized that my income was directly related to how much I could work, I realized that finding product development might be a good thing to consider, because I didn't want to work that long for the rest of my life. And I still haven't conquered that concept. But meeting Holly and Jennifer from Audrey Lane, they are such special ladies, and their work is beautiful, and their dedication to introducing new product and finding new ways of thinking, and they're brilliant. And aligning ourselves with them just began the floodgates of ideas. We felt that an organic foundation, which is always successful, I think, you try to stay within the things that are naturally comfortable for people. We don't try to insert something that's God didn't make, even if he didn't make it. It's just things that have been around and just used differently. I would say that the biggest element that we infused in our collection was positive energy. We had done a collection of carpet with Kyle Bunting, hair on hide. And I'm very proud to this day, this was in 2018, this is still his largest selling collection to date.
Congrats.
And it was all about my going through a little bit of a heartbreak and how I healed my heart and things like that. And so we decided to do something, don't make it sad. Let's make it all happy. Let's make everything we design have a feel-good vibe. So the names of the tiles are like fresh start, forward thinking, good vibes only, happy thoughts. And it's funny, people start smiling when they see names like that. So that's kind of where the whole thing came from. It's just a positive point of view.
Love that. Carmina, it's lovely to have you join us today. Now, I know you're an independent interior designer, but with a multidisciplinary background. What are some of the most innovative products or materials that you've seen being exhibited here at Coverings?
I think a lot of what I'm seeing here isn't necessarily new. I think that this has been in development for many years, especially the porcelains and ceramics with a little bit of like etching or a tactile sense to it. And I think that goes back to what Marc was saying, how you want to create a space that's beautiful without the furnishings in it. And I think having these small details within the actual materials help create that environment. And like he was saying, these clean lines and easy to take care of, I think they're really being very innovative with how they are creating these material surfaces. There are some, though, that are fairly difficult to clean, I think, with the general population. Residential products like the extrusions. I've talked with colleagues saying this would be great in a space. How will we clean it? How will we tackle it? Is that going to be something that's going to be difficult for the maintenance crews or just a regular person cleaning at home? But I do like all of those new materials that they're creating into 3D formats, making them and manufacturing them in such a way that it's not technically structural, but still very hardy and can be used in multiple spaces, except for the exterior, but...
We got it. Are there particular exhibitors whose work really caught your attention this year?
If you had been walking this floor with me, I probably would have taken you to the Arcana area. They have created such a special tile design that they walked me through the entire process. They're actually working with artisans. So they take paints and they create their own palettes for all the different lines that they have. And essentially, they create a pattern on the palette and they hand trowel it. So they create these beautiful handmade designs that are, to me, it speaks very 60s, 70s type of era, but really modernized, because what they do then is they digitally print it on tiles for mass production. So I just love the marriage of handmade, crafted, troweled feel, but made for everyone.
It's great.
Have you noticed any sustainable or eco-friendly innovations in the materials being showcased here? And I'll start with you, Carmina.
I do know that sustainability is in such a forefront here at Coverings. We're seeing small little pop-ups where they're discussing how their factories can be sustainable, how their materials can be sustainable. What I do like is seeing implementation of the ISOs, so as standardizing how essentially they define sustainability. Because anything can be called sustainable, or it used to be. Now there's actual standards for factories, for pushing those products. So I really like seeing that.
Same question for you, Marc. Did you notice any particularly eco-friendly or sustainable innovations as you were walking the floor today?
Well, I'm going to switch that question around a little bit, because what I noticed more than anything was the texture. She commented on some of the textural elements and stuff, and how do you maintain those and blah, blah, blah. So that touches into your question, but it's not exactly your question. Is it okay if I answer that?
Sure.
There was a lot of vertical raking and breaking down of texture of the face of tiles, of marbles and stones. And I think that is exquisite. Now, obviously, that needs to be used on a vertical surface because you can't walk on it. But I think that's such a trend. That is such a huge sign of people thinking about tiles and marbles and stones being used a little bit more differently. To put your emphasis on things that are only on walls versus on floors, I think is interesting. And it's very indicative of where I think things are heading.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back after this message. In partnership with our friends at Kogan Page, June's Bigeye Book Club selection is Data-Driven Customer Experience Transformation. Optimize your omnichannel approach. The book's author, Professor Mohammed Zaki of the University of Cambridge, delivers an essential guide to creating consistent, exceptional customer experiences across digital, social, and physical channels. Data-driven customer experience transformation shows you how to leverage AI and data analytics to predict engagement, understand customer loyalty, and forge stronger relationships. Through rigorous research and compelling case studies from organizations including Microsoft, KFC, and Emirates Airline, Mohammed demonstrates how to design and implement customer experiences that drive growth and build brand loyalty. As an InClear Focus listener, you can save 25% on data-driven customer experience transformation when you order directly from the publisher at koganpage.com. Just enter the exclusive promo code BIGEYE25 at checkout. Shipping is always complimentary for customers in the US and the UK. In our increasingly complex omnichannel world, let data-driven customer experience transformation be your guide to delivering exceptional customer experiences. Welcome back to our conversation at Coverings 2025. Marc, as someone who's designed luxury interiors for decades and of course created your own tile collection, as I noted earlier, what do you look for when exploring an event like Coverings?
I guess the first thing is I want to be surprised by what technology allows them to manufacture now. I am blown away by the digital advances and the strength that they're infusing into man-made product and stuff. So you're always looking for what is new from a technology standpoint because it just blows your mind. Which then leads me back to my hooks. I'm always looking for, okay, what are the fun new hooks I'm going to walk away with? This one inset or this one feature wall or this one thing that just makes me want to use it in a foyer with water and all sorts of like grand, wonderful ideas of how to be unique about it. It's your splurge moments. So even though we're looking for price points, I look for them in the extremes. I look for the affordable that we'll use in a lot of quantity places, and then we'll look for the extremely more expensive, and we'll use that in just a little bit here, a little bit there, and create something, I think, unique. So that's what we're always looking for.
How does coming to Coverings support your design practice?
Well, by staying on top of those things, it's all about inspiration. This show, I think, is the most inspiring show around because it's not every product under the sun to build a home. It's very focused. It is one thing, and it is shown in every sense of the word. So it's very focused. So coming here, Coverings give us a chance to use one of the most expensive things in a home. I mean, stone budgets can reach, 7 digits easily in some of our homes. And so you really have to decide where you're putting those funds and how you're going to use it. It's a mix of affordable and expensive. It shows all of it to you, all of it.
Carmina, same question for you. How does coming to an event like Coverings support your design practice?
I think that Marc really hit the nail on the head with this show because it is so specific to the materials. When you're coming here and you're walking through such an immersive trade show floor, you're walking into individual vendors and you are just transported. So we were walking up and down Spain and Italy, and I really felt like I may actually be in these countries. There was a section that had a cute little vignette with a little bistro and a little Tulum-inspired lighting above it, and I felt really transported at that point. And going to like places like Stone Peak where they had an actual cafe set up inside, it was comfy, it was usable, and it was tactile, and it really immersed you into their products. So I know myself working with different clients that have many different needs, I felt really inspired to continue to design for all of these different clients that we have with different tastes and different budgets. There's designs and ideas galore here.
Mm-hmm. Seth, what about you? Were you inspired thinking about Coverings 2026 maybe?
Yeah, well, I love just being immersed in this world. It's outside of graphic design and what we normally do, but it's still kind of a passion of mine. One of my favorite things that I saw was going back to technique. There was this really cool, forgot the name of the manufacturer, but the way that the effect was printed, it almost looked like it was backlit from behind, like onyx. And I was just in awe that that effect could be created in this way and project this aesthetic that was just absolutely beautiful. So I think I found a lot of inspiration on the show floor this year for next year's brand. I feel a lot of our thought process was reinforced. We took a lot of old world inspiration from classic tile motifs and modernized it in a way that could be utilized in an environment like this. And I did see a lot of old world sort of influences, but the way that it's scaled, the way that it's applied, it feels modern and it feels fresh.
Well, the one thing that we all have in common at this table is we all have clients. So, Carmina, in your design approach, I know you do emphasize real collaboration with clients. How do you introduce them to innovative materials that you've discovered at events like this?
I have a very cluttered SUV. What I like to do is I like to create reels for Instagram and social media that almost never see the light of day. However, like I said, walking around coverings, I feel very inspired to do that. There's just so many ways to present, like some of these vignettes, how they're pairing some of the porcelain with the textile and the trowel look, and just using them in fun little reels or Papa Trending Audio. I am a micro influencer. But that's probably one of my favorite ways to do so, because a lot of my clients do use social media and they do like the different products that I introduce that way. Otherwise, I do bring them in my messy SUV.
Marc, with your experience in both interior design and product development, as you mentioned, what advice would you give to designers looking to navigate the vast offerings of a show like Coverings?
I would probably start by telling them don't think like a designer, because we get stuck in trying to find that exquisite, incredible thing, and that would be a tragic thing to be too caught up in. You want things that are going to focus on easy to maintain, easy to fix and replace and install, and easy to get, blah, blah, blah. Keeping it simple is where I would remind them of that we've talked about already. And I would make sure that they had a mindset of just being real about everything. Price points, stay in your extremes. You're super affordable, you're more expensive, because it is all here. I mean, I don't know half the vendors, if they wow you with that couple products in the beginning of their spaces and draw you in, and then you can really see the full extent of what they do. Don't judge by just walking past it. You really got to go inside and see what they're offering. Some of the booths are very kind of private, and I wonder what's going on in there, And I don't know, others, like, they let you just, they want to show you everything as you walk by, and then others have a very different approach. They want you to come in and experience it that way. So I don't know which is the better. I'm probably missing a few things because sometimes I don't take the time. If I don't see something that immediately draws me, I tend to walk past it. So I need to allow the time to absorb something like this. If you're in the market and if you are needing product and needing to expose yourself to good product, you need to come to this show. And you need to take the time to walk it in its entirety and really take the time to kind of absorb it, because you will leave with a lot more than you came with.
Carmina, I know you have a special affinity for renovating historic homes, particularly those of the 1950s and 1960s. I'm curious, have you seen products that would work particularly well in those kinds of restoration projects?
I've seen a resurgence in breeze blocks and just using new materials to recreate these breeze blocks. They aren't structural, of course. However, I'm looking for a project that I would love to use those in the terracotta colors and the warm colors. Those colors were not available in the 1950s or 60s for those breeze blocks. So I think that would be so much fun to bring into a project. There's also a lot of graphic designs on some of these tiles.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that.
Right, that are super fun. Like Versace had, not everyone can afford Versace, but the first one that came to mind, they had a little dog and just really fun, irreverent images
Yeah, very
on the
playful.
tile, yes. So I think that in a way is very in that era of, a little bit playful and a little bit irreverent, but in a more modern scope.
Mm-hmm. I always think one of the interesting things about shows like Coverings is it does always, for me, feel like it brings together this sort of artistic sensibilities. There's a little bit of fashion. There's obviously interior design, popular culture. They're all in the mix. I'm curious, Marc and Carmina, you both had the chance to walk the show. Would you offer a critique of Seth's work on the branding of the show? Do you think he and his team got it right this year?
I'm blown away, Seth. I did not know you did that. And I often come to big shows and see the graphics and see the signage and see the hook and see how it's all put together. And when he was speaking about the little bit more of the subtle approach, I'm blown away. I think he nailed it. I think his team nailed it. I think the green is so anchoring and something that everybody's familiar with, and it feels right. So congratulations.
Thanks.
I mean, I think you understood the assignment, because hearing you saying that you went to a hardware store and you got yourself a trowel, you're really getting
I think you
into it.
made that up. No, I don't see.
The light green texture, you'll see it.
I've seen the photos. They really did.
Yeah, we had a great time designing this brand, and it's awesome to be a part of a show like this. It's just one of our favorite clients to work with. Super happy. Thank you for those compliments.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see how this translates to Las Vegas next year. Excited to shift it just slightly and give it a little bit of a Vegas spin.
Mm-hmm.
Great conversation. Carmina, Marc, and Seth, thank you very much for being my guests this week on In Clear Focus.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Adrian.
for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks again to my guest this week, Marc the Design Principal of Marc Michaels Interior Design, Carmina Ozeata, Principal of Carmina Marie Interior Design, and Seth Segura, Vice President and Creative Director at Bigeye. I'd also like to thank the event marketing team for hosting us at the Coverings 2025 podcast studio. As always, you'll find a transcript with links to the resources we discussed today on the In Clear Focus page at bigeyeagency.com. Just select Insights from the menu. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to the show and sharing it with others. Thank you for listening to In Clear Focus, produced by Bigeye. I've been your host, Adrian Tennant. Until next week, goodbye.